brought another solution, a better solution.
No,
There
I
are
understand.
600 cities in the United States who have gone in terrible fiscal condition and terrible health for their children, terrible infrastructure situations for their water supplies and wastewater, terrible rate hikes, environmental losses. 600 examples of horrific cases with monetization and privatization. You don't bring any of that up. You don't bring anything about the water impact, of what's going to happen with monetization, privatization, commodification of water. The Bokassin Wampanoag tribe and the Pokanoket Nation wants to tell you that you've lost your moral compass. You have lost your moral compass. The water is not up for sale, for lease, for monetization, commodification, extraction, exploitation. No, stop here, because you want to listen to people. They are calling on your ancestors, your Mayan ancestors. When you run for mayor, you talk about being Guatemalan and being in your background. They are calling right now on your Mayan ancestors and your Mayan roots to consider what you're doing and to come to terms with your borrowed conscience. Everybody has a chance to turn things around. We want to talk with you directly because you have not come to the community, to zero members of the community. Environmental justice community, social justice community, none of us have been talked with to come up with solutions. You cannot marry pension plan with water. Pension plan, you need creative solutions for that. Water is not that solution. And if we are voting for you in office and you can't come with creative solutions, then that's not the job where you need to be. I'm sorry. Let's talk about the water quality that diminishes in all of the 600 cities that we know. This is Food and Water Watch. This is corporate accountability. This is massive NGOs. We have all the facts on, and we would be happy to sit down and present to you what happens when water is monetized. What happens when a bill like this is here with no control of the PUC, with the Public Utilities Commission, with a total openness of privatization of water, regardless of city chargers and any other ordinances or any other regulations or legislations in the state. You really you're not talking about the job losses, you're not talking about all the patterns that happen in the 600 cities. And the cities that you mentioned, the 3 of them have had horrific experiences as well and would be happy to share. So, it is a falsehood to come to this meeting and say, we're at the beginning of the conversation. We're not. We want to hear from you. You don't want to hear. You have not sat down with the Racial and Environmental Justice Committee. You have not sat down with the Environmental Sustainability Council. You have not sat down with the Water is Life, Land and Water Sovereignty campaign. You have not sat down with critical people to talk and discuss these issues in the last 3 years. So it is really, in the name, like one of our chiefs said, this is a challenge.
Well, we're here to have the conversation. You mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to respond to in terms of the sale of water. And I don't mean about selling the entity to another entity. What I mean is about Providence Water Supply Board selling water to residents. The current state that we have right now is Providence Water sells both retail and wholesale, meaning it sells retail directly to customers, and it also sells wholesale directly to other water companies that then turn around and sell our water to their retail customers. And the situation we have right now is so unfair that Providence is forced by state regulation to sell at a reduced, subsidized rate. So people who get their water directly from Providence Water pay the lowest levels for the highest quality water in the state. But what's so unfair is that once we sell to, let's say, Johnston Water, they can turn around and sell our water at a marked up rate. So they're making profit off of our water, whereas we're prohibited from doing so. And to make matters worse, God forbid something were to happen with the water supply system. our credit rating is on the hook for anything that might happen to the system. So we get all of the downside and none of the upside. That's just unfair. If anyone is going to make money off of the water system, it should be the folks that take on the risk. The last point too is, we weren't fully clear about this in the presentation, but the City of Providence currently doesn't receive a single cent from the water supply system. It's its own separate enterprise fund, so that all the money that Providence Water makes, it's recycled into their own system. Providence Water doesn't see a single cent of that. The last piece is, and this piece is a little bit uncertain, but it is something for us to consider. God forbid that we don't find a solution over the long term, and that Providence does run out of money, and we find ourselves in bankruptcy court. I can guarantee you that the first thing that bankruptcy court will look to do, it'll look to sell Providence Water. And if bankruptcy court is able to sell Providence Water, and again, that's an if, but if they are, I can guarantee you they'll sell it on their terms and not on our terms. So those are all important considerations to keep into account.
You need to stop us rather than your
That's all.
But just to follow up on what the mayor said, that is definitely not a scare tactic, connection between potential bankruptcy and risks to Providence Water. If there's a very real practical connection between the pension fund liability and Providence Water. If the city were to end up in bankruptcy, Providence Water is by far our most valuable asset, and whether it's a sale or not, or some other form of monetization, you can be certain that in bankruptcy court, there'd be very, very aggressive efforts to monetize it and get as much revenue as possible from Providence Water. So we're not proposing anything to sacrifice quality or rate stability. We're actually trying to preserve it. If the city were to end up in bankruptcy, we could really lose control of that. We could be forced into some kind of a partnership or agreement that would not protect water quality, that would not protect rate stability.
Into such a partnership now.
So we're in a position now where we're not in bankruptcy. We're not on the verge of bankruptcy. So we have the flexibility to enter into a partnership where we can control those things, where we can impose, not maximize the revenue we can get from Providence Water, in return for imposing conditions that would ensure continued water quality, rate stability, and protection of labor.